Madison Williams, and today I will be presenting my informative speech for my online spoon class. I'd first like to welcome my audience because I greatly appreciate you all being here today. Thank you. Every country has different celebrations throughout the year. Here in the U.S., one of our biggest traditions includes Halloween. Many people of all ages, big and small, prepare their costumes months before October 31st. In other countries like Mexico, during this time, one of the largest traditions is Días de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. If you're sitting here today, you've probably lost someone that you were really close to and was of big importance in your life. As people, we tend to mourn these deaths and have a great amount of sadness for our loved ones who have passed. Death is a natural part of life, but creates many emotions for the people who it leaves behind. Some cultures actually try to cover this sadness and mourning with lively celebrations and traditions. In Mexico, this is known as Day of the Dead festivities. Day of the Dead for the Mexican culture is super important, and its contents including its origination, where it came from, its lively traditions, and the different variations of art forms in it are what I will be discussing today. During this informative speech, you will learn about many topics related to this famous holiday from a different culture that you're not very familiar with. First, let's consider the importance of the origination of this Hispanic holiday. Day of the Dead has been greatly influenced by religion and spirituality as well. This makes it an important factor in how and where it began. Day of the Dead actually developed over about 7,000 years ago, and its celebrations are mainly ancient traditions among its pre-Columbian cultures. According to Logan Ward, a writer from National Geographic magazine, today's Días de los Muertos celebration is actually a mashup of pre-Columbian and Hispanic religious rites and Christian feasts. By the late 20th century, in most regions of Mexico, practices had developed on November 1st and November 2nd, mainly to honor deceased adults, but this later changed. National Geographic also states that Spanish conquistadors actually brought this to different parts of Latin America because they really wanted to show contents of how important this holiday was to them. Explorers and conquerors of Spanish descent in Latin America back in the 16th century actually started the holiday solely to recognize their deceased loved ones, family and friends included. Ward also mentions that Day of the Dead originated several thousand years ago with Aztec, Toltec, and Nahua people who considered mourning death as very disrespectful, which is a lot different now because we we mourn with different emotions as people. Also included in the origination of this holiday, it plays a huge role, is religion and spirituality. National Geographic Society, from the website, updated in 2012 states, Días de los Muertos has its origin in Aztec traditions honoring the dead. The Aztec Empire influence extended throughout present-day Mexico and Central America. While few Native Americans of the present-day U.S. share Aztec traditions, this is actually where it originated. Day of the Dead origination as a type of Christian religion loyal to the Roman Catholic Church and the leader of that church, which is the Pope. Now that I've discussed the origination of this holiday, it's time to move on to the importance of the traditions it actually celebrates. The upbringing of these traditions, such as decorating graves, preparation for the festival, and the food have all been super sentimental and very important aspects of the holiday itself. I'd first like to start off with ofrendas, or Spanish altars that people actually decorate with flowers, different art forms, pottery, and use a lot of imagery from the Hispanic culture. Offerings are actually inspired by the Codex Borgia, and it's an ancient Mexican manuscript that originated several thousand years ago when the tradition first started. Ofrendas are decorated with marigold and baby's breath, which actually represents children deaths, sugar skulls, skeletons, pottery representing life cycles, and papier-mâché crafts. Throughout the week, families take time to plan out events for each specific day. Osorio states that Day of the Dead officially begins on October 28th. The Illinois Wesleyan scholar also explains that other days play a specific role in the festival. On November 1st and 2nd, it is the most massive. November 1st is All Saints Day, whereas November 2nd is All Souls Day. Spanish families also have a huge appreciation for food at this time. Mexican bread, mango nectar for its tortillas, drinks such as beer and brandy, and Mexican sauce made from pumpkin seeds are all part of what they eat and what they drink during this crazy holiday. Finally, along with the traditions, another important aspect of its history includes its various art forms. During this holiday, different practices such as music, dance, and art itself is very important. First, I'd like to talk about music. Hispanic bands typically use string instrument and sometimes drums or maracas to spice things up a bit, especially for the people that dance. Dance is my next point or sub point to this big point. Women actually dress in fancy dresses that are bold and colorful and really stand out to the men. Men actually practice their footwork in each dance so their practice makes perfect. Free range to dance is credible for all citizens to be there and have time to not only spend time with their families, but practice something that's very important in their culture. Their practices are very creative and take a lot of time to master, unless you're just trying to have fun. My last point is the art forms, and I'm talking about actual painting and actual crafts. According to AZ Central, art forms in the Hispanic culture are handcrafted. Youngsters actually paint their faces like their descendants who have passed, or they make it look like sugar skulls and skeletons, and that's pretty much the whole background of Day of the Dead. All Hispanic art is usually conveyed and handcrafted because something from China just isn't the same in their culture. As you can see, the Day of the Dead is very important to one of our neighboring countries. Today I've provided you with some new and inspiring information that might change your ways in how you thought about different countries that are not native to you. This holiday is actually celebrated by many people around here, but I really wanted to focus on the origination. The Day of the Dead has been deeply rooted into the lives of many Spanish and Hispanic families, and what makes this holiday so incredibly unique includes the origination, the traditions it celebrates, and the various art forms that are presented all throughout the week. As I said in my introduction, death is a natural part of life. Sometimes we just have to mourn it, but if you're not the type of mourning person and you want to be closer to the Mexican culture, sometimes you just have to celebrate it. That is concluding my speech, and I'd like to thank you all for coming out today. Thank you.